Okay, we are going to learn how to build a double bar graph using Microsoft Excel. We are going to use the same data that we drew our first example bar graph in, the comparison of iPhone and Android and how many people like each one. We're going to do a bar graph for the total, and then we're going to do a double bar graph for the teens and the adults. Now, I'm in Google Chrome on my computer. You might be on your iPad or on an iPhone or in a different web browser, but Microsoft Excel should look mostly the same. I'm starting in my Microsoft Teams. In my top left-hand corner, I have my options, and I'm going to go to Microsoft Excel to make a new Excel document. It'll take a little bit of time to load up, and you'll see a grid. Well, not yet. I'm going to do a new blank document. Absolutely blank. Microsoft Excel, you're going to see a grid. A whole big grid. It looks like this. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do I was going to see if I can make this a little bit easier for you to see. But here we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is in grid cell A1. Right here, I'm in grid cell A1. That's what it's called. It's right there in the top left-hand corner, A1. Phone. And I hit return to move to the next one. I'm comparing my iPhone and my Android. So here I'm just putting my data into my Excel document. Now I'm in cell B1. You can see that I'm in cell B1 right here. And I'm going to type in the number of people and hit enter. Now you can see the number of people went over and it looks like it's in cell C1, but it's not. Cell C1 is blank. This right here is what is in cell C1. Cell B1 is right here. Now my iPhone was 23 and my Android was 18. So 23 for iPhone, Android 18. I have all my data for my totals. Now we're going to get Excel to build a graph for this. So I highlight those 6 cells by clicking and dragging. And I'm going to go to Insert, and it says Column Graph here. So I'm just going to do a 2D column graph. There's line graphs, pie graphs, bar graphs, area graphs, scatter graphs. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of graphs. I'm just going to click on 2D column. And there it is. There's my graph. It's got a bar for iPhone. It's got a bar for Android. It's a bar graph. There's nothing special, but I don't like this key. I don't have a title on my vertical axes. I don't have a good title for my horizontal axes. So I'm going to change a few things around. So on my chart, so you can see up here, I click on Chart, Chart Title. I'm going to put my chart title, I can edit it. Okay, might be a problem. I'm going to put the title that I want. The number of people who like Android versus iPhone. Click OK. There you go. I've got my title here. Now I'm going to go back up to chart. Axes titles. Primary horizontal axis title. I want to put a title in. So I clicked on title, and I'm going to put in type of phone. Okay. Right there, it showed up, type of phone, right there. I've got an axis title. Then I click on chart again. Now it's important, when you're clicking on chart, you have to have your chart selected. I click on the chart to select it, click on Chart, Axes Titles. Now I want to add a primary vertical axis title. I'm going to make it vertical. There's some different options. You can look at these and see what they are. Vertical title. This is going to be the number of people. I'm going to click OK. And right there's my title. I don't like that option too much. Let's try that again. Let's see if we can choose a nicer one. Primary vertical axis title. I'm going to do rotated. Number of people. I like that much better. Now this down here is a legend or a key. I don't like this key. So I'm going to go to my legend and I'm going to go turn off legend because I don't want it in this graph. And right here, there we have our graph. Now, there's only a limited amount of things that you can do on the website. Now I'm using the website in Chrome. If you want more options, you need to go to an app. Like on the iPad, you can change the colors of the bars, you can change a whole bunch of things. So I can even change the type of graph I want. I could change this to a line, although a line graph doesn't make any sense in this case. So I'm using a column graph. I could change this to a bar graph. That's just it's the same thing as the column graph. One's horizontal, one's vertical. So there's lots of things that I could do. I could change the axes. I could change the grid lines. You can play around with them. All right, so this is a single bar graph right here. Okay, now I want to build a double bar graph for the rest of our data. So I'm going to redo this again. I'm going to write phone, number of people, number of adults, and then number of teenagers. And I'm going to do iPhone, Android. Now, if you remember, to our data, we had 17 teens for iPhone and 8 teens for Android. So in my number of teenagers, so right here, my number of teenagers is in L1. So in L2, I'm going to put 17 teens and then 8 teens for Android. Next thing, for iPhone, I'm going to put 8 and 10. All right, now I'm going to select this data. I'm going to go to my Insert menu. I'm going to put Insert Column Graph. And here we go. There's my column graph. Now it's a double bar graph. You can see here's my here are my 2 bars for Android. These are my 2 bars for iPhone. And these are my 2 bars for Android. Blue is the number of adults, orange is the number of teenagers. You can see teenagers like iPhone more, teenagers like iPhone less. Right, but again, this does not have everything that I want. It does not have a main title, it does not have a vertical axis title, and it does not have a horizontal axis title. Let's go to the chart. Chart title. I want a centered overlay title. The number of teens, of adults and teens that like Android versus iPhone. There's a title. It's overlaid on the graph. I don't like that it's overlaid because it's on my bar, and that makes it a little bit hard to read. So I go back to my chart, go to my chart title, and I go above chart. There you go. That pushed it above the chart. Okay, now axes titles. Primary horizontal axes. Title below axes. I want to put in my type of phone. And then I need a vertical axis, so I go to axis titles, primary vertical axis. And I want a rotated title, number of people. There we go, there's my number of people. Now I don't like my legend or my key down here, so I want to put it kind of up in the corner or on the side somewhere. I don't like it below. So chart, I can go to my legend. I can show it at the right. There it is there. There's some other options. I could show it at the top, left, bottom. I can show it without resizing, but then it covers it, and that's not good. So I want it at the right. Now I can also have data labels. And then it'll tell me exactly how big each bar is. So if you want to see exactly. Now if you'll note that Excel automatically chooses the size of the scale. And these two scales are not the same. So we cannot compare easily this graph, our double bar graph, to our single bar graph because the scales are not the same. Right, so that's how you use Excel to make double bar graphs. Now, it's important that you save this. If you're going to keep this document, save it with a good name. I call mine MATH05. Android versus iPhone graphs. That will tells me what it is and how it's easy to find. All right, so hopefully you can make these two bar graphs in Excel, and then you can make new bar graphs based on the data that's given to you in the handouts. If you have any questions, please contact me, and thank you for watching.